What's up? It's the Gigabyte Grizzly Brohemoth, and this is a messed up time we live in, so I need you all to do me a favor. Wear your mask. Like this, not like this, or like this, or like this, like this. Wear your mask. It's for your safety and mine. Because if I see you without one, I'm gonna pump kick a mask onto your face. Got it?
Announcement from Benjamin C. Steele talking to you about wearing a mask. Not this one, but this one. With everything going on right now with this pandemic, you need to wear a mask. My mask is for your safety. Your mask is for mine. I don't care what your uncles, brothers, best friends, mailmans...
Parental discretion is advised.
This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us and IndyWrestling.network for your independent wrestling entertainment. Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza. Just Pro Wrestling News Podcast. No filler, no pop-ups. Production services by Sidekick Media Services. And listeners like you, supporting us at patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show.
Just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait. Wait for the perfect time, then attack. Don't give up what you want, take it back. Wait for the perfect...
It is the Wrestling Mayhem Show, over 820 episodes, and Tuesdays we've been talking about professionalized wrestling. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on Twitter here in the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We do expect the Mad Mike to join us here momentarily. He's handling a few things and should be doing a run-in here as we get into the show. But we figure we don't need to keep you guys waiting on the live feeds here on Tuesday night, but we do have a very special guest with us this week from the Kincaid compound in... I don't know. I wish you were in Katanning so I can keep the alliteration going. But with us is Tony Kincaid.
That is way too many Ks.
Yes, and the wrong number of them. I apologize. Yeah. But anyways, Tony's with us, commentator extraordinaire for every company I think I work with now.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
And we're like, oh, you're here. Oh, you're here again. Oh, okay, you're here. It is, but it's not like, oh, you're here. It's like, oh, hey, you're here, you know. So
I mean, sometimes it's, depending on if I'm in one of my moods, it can be
depends on the day. It does depend on the day a little bit, doesn't it? So, yeah. No, I'm glad you joined us. We actually just got to work with each other, and I had your voice in my head in editing this week for the Revenge Pro show, which is apparently making some news. So we talked about it last night on the Monday show a little bit, and then that's been getting some rounds. So I'd love to talk to you about your experience with that here a little bit later in the show. And of course, Renegade Wrestling Alliance, which is your home base, is coming up this weekend. Very excited about that, including a new match that was just announced. I can't wait to see how that turns out as well. So, and you guys holding the fort down, because I know I am in Florida this weekend for another situation that I'm involved in. But anyways, this is the Wrestling Mayhem Show. You can check out everything at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. Hit us up at that email address.
Woo!
Good times.
Good times. I'm sorry. Let me try again.
Yes.
Good time.
At that email address.
Good times.
At WrestlingMayhemShow.com. Thank you. He's done enough of these shows. He should know what's going on, right? So
Usually this is where I tune out because you're just shilling.
Okay, well, that's the same thing I do for you. So,
Yeah.
anyways, you can check out everything at, hit us up at the phone number is 412-206-WMS0 is the hotline. Leave your messages, and if you anybody used it, we bring them up on the show. We used to do that a lot. So, I know it's the phone. Who uses the phone anymore? You guys are in the chat room and everything. They're doing good times previewing the
I
usual.
saw Podner did it.
Previewing,
Thank you, Podner.
yes, previewing the usual RWA chaos, says Tina out there in Seattle. Yes. So, anyways, do that, and I'm at Mayhem Show on the Twitter, and of course, join us on the Facebook group, where there's a lot of great discussion throughout the week. Right, sharing a lot of stories, and we got a great crew over there. And of course, you can see us live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Wrestling Mayhem Show Facebook, YouTube, and the Sorgatron Media Twitch, and on the IndyWrestling.us YouTube and Twitch pages. We are no longer broadcasting to Twitter. There's a little bit difference in some of the technology that's going on right now. We are broadcasting on the Twitter Spaces. I know there's a little bit of fuzz and clicking that's going on there. We're trying to sort out what's going on, trying to bring everything off the board into the phone, and figuring out how everything works appropriately. I got some new methods I think I'm going to experiment with next week if I get a chance. But I think anybody wants to check that out, that function is out there if you guys just want to hear the audio in whatever you're doing. And I've been enjoying it. The Coffee with Rev I was listening to. RJ, I was listening to RJ makes coffee in his underwear while I was doing my walk in Erie Sunday morning, actually. So it's been really, really handy with that. So, maybe Mayhem in your ears during your workout. And of course, you can find us on all those fine podcast providers. And you can check us out on the Patreon page, patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show. So you can support the show, and we throw a couple special things out there. I got some clips I still got to edit from last week for you guys. First of all, thank you to our supporters, our friends at the Fan of the Show level, Bo Diggity!
This is the woo, right?
Yeah, woo! Woo! There we go. As well.
I knew there was a woo somewhere in there.
Ed Burke and Team Hammerfist. We just got to work on your cues. And Bobby F. J-Town. And at the Poppy Club level, Dave Potter. At the Pizza Club level, Doc Remedy and The Riz. And at the manager level, Bradley. And Mother of Dragons, Tina Keys. Thank you, everybody that does support the show. You help keep this Mayhem train rolling from week to week. And we do appreciate you. So anyways, Tony, I'll defer to you, because I haven't talked to you here and there at the shows. I know about everything going on. I don't know. I don't think I've seen you in person for a few months, actually. Now I think about it, it feels like. But what is catching your attention these days in the wrestling world is what I want to kind of start with. In the general wide world of wrestling, I guess we could say.
So, just personally, this has been the busiest month Doc and I have had as a duo since we started taking the show on the road from RWA. We've had like 3 shows plus some work stuff. You for everyone who doesn't know, I work social media as my day job, and then August is one of the busiest months for that. So, in wrestling, the resurgence of WWE in general has probably been like a light at the end of a really, really long, really, really dark tunnel. And now that we're starting to come out of it, just everything that's going on, there hasn't been a bad, oh my God, this was the worst thing I've watched on television in weeks, bad wrestling show in what feels like a month. Just last, when Hit Row came back, I was like, oh my God, it's Hit Row. McIntyre and Owens kind of the best promo, that was talked about probably a couple weeks ago or whenever they did, but that was the best promo. And they said the W word, ooh. And then last night, Gargano shows up, who is one of my single favorite wrestlers of all time. And it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. It's not like it's like mainstream the way it was during the Attitude Era, but you're not being inundated with, like, there were 3 matches, I think, on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all good matches, and all the segments were worth something except for maybe one.
I've been watching Raw. While I enjoyed Raw this week, I was doing like just math as we were going in my head, and I was just like, I feel like we had the same amount of matches across 3 hours as we did on Dynamite, right? Dynamite's really good about like having these condensed matches, but they don't feel like you had really shitty 5-minute, TV matches. Like like WWE has been like used to be like kind of feels like really notorious for, right? So like, but that's been interesting. Like it hasn't felt like a long slog. It does feel long, especially when you see the same Xfinity commercials over and over again. That's honestly the worst part now. To watching 3 hours of Monday Night Raw, to the point where I'm going to start DVRing it. But yeah, it's been it really has been like, I don't want to call it a renaissance of bits. I was reading an article today that I would love to hear some people. I wish I had I kind of want to message the people that we know in WWE, be like, is this like, how's that vibe, guys? But there was a good article I was seeing. I'm trying to see if I can find it again. I thought it was a Wrestling Inc., but it might have been somewhere else. Just like this is one of those backstage vibes from employees are, hey, everything's really chill and we get to be creative again. You know what I mean? Like the idea, and we've always heard this over the years. It's like, oh, it's like walking on eggshells when you're on, show days and dealing with Vince and all that kind of thing. But it seems like, and we talked about SummerSlam week. It just felt like a weight was lifted right off of like Michael Cole and everybody else, right? And they're out there having fun, and I think that's when you guys are doing your shows, right? If you're having fun, that helps push the show from the commentary side of things, right? And if everybody, you're seeing the faces, coming and going, people that you've heard, and this is all, stuff we hear, dirt sheets, so what's actual facts, you never know. But like, it sounds like it's the work environment may be improving for some people, right?
Yeah, no, I think probably the best thing that I'm noticing about everything right now is that freedom thing. You can always tell. And maybe it's because we're plugged in, but you can see, when a smile is a smile and when a smile is a work smile. So to see joy during promos, to see those things where you don't see the bags under the eyes anymore, the God, this promo has to be exactly 7 minutes or else I'm going to get yelled at for 30, things of that nature, and just. The best thing a promoter or a producer or a writer or anyone on the camera side can tell someone who has a mic in their hands or is doing something to that effect is, hey, go about 7 minutes, but you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Which is what we, for right or wrong, is what we hear happens at Dynamite. And honestly, that's what I hear happens at indie shows. Like, hey, you guys are the experts. Go kill it for 15 minutes or whatever it is, right? Speaking of vibes.
Speaking of killing it.
Yo! Mad Mike has graced us with his presence.
Yeah, and look what shirt I'm rocking.
Oh, Johnny Wrestling.
Little Johnny Banana Pants action.
Fantastic. Hey,
Mike, you just missed it. I was just saying when his and because I know Mike loves Johnny almost as much as I do. To have him back and have it not be like a breaking news, Johnny Gargano back in the WWE, and he just shows up. And watching Canada light up where they're like, wait a minute, what? And hearing Rebel Heart, I forgot how much I missed Rebel Heart. You know what I mean?
Rebel Heart is
S tier.
Oh man! All right, I need to parse my data a little bit more as I say this. It might be the best theme in the past 5 years.
That is a high bar.
It might be. It might be. I'm not sure.
And we've had a good few years of wrestling music. Yeah, right? Like that Daniel Bryan theme in AEW fucking slams.
I co-op this, and the reason why is I don't think Johnny Gargano has had a bad theme. From Cruiserweight Classic to DIY to Rebel Heart, to All Heart No Soul, Chrome Hearts, and Tommaso too. Tommaso has never had a bad theme, except for the brief moment they had a bad theme, but we won't talk about that time. These
It was just for a minute.
It was just for a second.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorg?
Wait, did you just see the indie thing?
Sorg, it's gonna happen.
Well, no, wait a minute.
Index versus
Okay.
in couple. It's gonna happen.
So roll back a second because I wanted to close the loop on our thought. As I'm adding.
This is all about the way, Sorg.
Yes.
It is a closed loop.
So I only saw the visuals here while we were talking. It was right when Mike was coming in, and I saw it was Dexter Lumis and Indi Hartwell, and they embraced, they kissed. And then he backed out the door, the double door, holding it open, and you see the police lights flashing from the side outside.
Because he has actually killed the Miz.
He closes the door. He lets the door go to close in front of him. Two cops come in and start arresting him. She looks down at the piece of paper, and then the words I did see were "Goodbye, Indy."
Goodbye, Indy. I less than 3 you.
Oh no.
I mean, come on. It's gonna happen. It's gonna.
All I know
happen.
is what is happening.
He's gonna post his bail. They're going to be Bonnie and Clyde. It's gonna be amazing.
All I know is what I just watched. And have you ever wanted to see Sorg cry on a show?
But it's so like that's such a cinematic simplicity right there, like that we would have never seen. Like the concept of trusting Dexter and Indy to be in position properly. This is a big shot. We only got one shot at this, so you guys need to hit your marks because this is the angle we have to shoot. Okay, guys? You got it. And they hit it, and it's one of those things that it pays off on something that rewards loyal wrestling fans. And even if you weren't keeping up at that time when Index was a thing, you get it because it's a common thing. You understand the guy kissing his girl as he's getting arrested.
Yes.
You get that thing.
Yes.
Perfect.
We're making movies, pal.
We're making movies, pal.
Okay, all right, but so and this is all with a character that doesn't speak. Like it's one thing to do this, to like really set up a whole story. Dexter Lumis does not speak. He has spoken like maybe a word on camera in WWE and NXT. That's damn impressive.
He doesn't need to speak.
Mm-hmm.
His face says it all.
Nope.
Like if he would say like I remember when Dexter was Sam Shaw in TNA, and he was doing his thing with Ken Anderson, and they kept having him deliver these lines that, while he was delivering them well, were inherently written shitty. Him yelling, "What are you doing in my bedroom?" and he's clearly in a toddler's bedroom. That makes you look like a joke. And your entire concept is, I am this quiet serial killer. That's been his thing since I first saw him wrestle.
Yes.
So now he's the serial killer with a heart of gold. He's Dexter. Duh.
Yes.
But
yes.
He has this sweet spot for the people he has sweet spots for, and for everyone else, he'll strangle you with his bare hands. There's something beautifully sadistic in that.
I'm telling you, it's eventually going to get to a point where Miz is going to come back. He's going to call out Dexter Lumis. Miz and Maurice are going to like double team him, and then Indi Hartwell is going to come out from the crowd. It's gonna happen. I'm telling you, it's so magical. NXT Black and Gold has turned into NXT Red and Blue, and I'm here for it.
Yes, absolutely. It is kind of beautiful, and kind of to that. And I don't know if this is something I said out loud. No, it is something I said out loud. Literally, I remember I was talking with Missy about the stuff happening with Triple H, because I think I just read some headline or something about some more movements that were happening. People that were let go or rehired or something like that. And I was like, the Shawn Michaels news I think broke late last week, right? About how he's now a part of Talent Creative, like vice president of Talent Creative now, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, DX is running the show. I'm just kind of waiting for them to rehire Road Dogg or something. I just remember walking into an elevator Friday night in Cleveland, saying those words out loud, and then I see the headline, "What, this morning? Yesterday? That Road Dogg is back with this company, but Jeff Jarrett's gone." So I'm like, no, that seems appropriate. So
That's about right.
So, which also is really interesting in watching, because I'm catching up on Young Rock season 2 right now, and I have one episode left. Maybe we'll touch on that a little later. But anyways, it's really interesting, and it's like the good vibes that are, according to the news, quotes, that we read, seem to extend to what's happening to the product on television that we get to enjoy again. So, no, very, very good. And this is good for everybody. If this steps up AEW's game, this steps up everybody else's game, people come back, which makes more room for on the Impacts and other promotions and New Japans and whatever for other talent to come up. Fantastic.
Someone said, when Johnny came back, first thing I did after I finished watching Raw was I watched the entrance again because I wanted to get a grip of like what the fans were doing, and then I made the mistake of reading the YouTube comments. Don't ever read the YouTube comments.
No.
But
I hate they pop up when you're watching AEW Dark Live. Ugh.
Yeah, it's just bad. But so the fans are, and one of the guys says, an unnamed troll, bigger pop than Kenny Omega. First of all, no, it wasn't. It was a great pop, but Kenny is the workhorse and the number one over at AEW. They're not comparable. Don't do that. Secondly, why can't we like both? Why can't we have wrestling for like, oh, I'm anti-WWE. There's AEW. Oh, I'm anti-AEW because they're a bunch of spot fest monkeys. Oh, cool, fine, watch WWE. Maybe you're like me who wants to just watch wrestling when he wants to watch wrestling. Now I have an option damn near every day of the week for what used to be 10% good wrestling. Now I have 50% good wrestling on any given night.
Yeah.
And if it's bad, I can move over, but there's less to have to skip.
And interesting, because I literally just came across a headline in an article by a friend of the show, Ross Berman, over at Wrestling Inc., that quantifies exactly what you're talking about, by the way. So get this. So according to analysis released by WrestleNomics, Brandon Thurston, both Raw and SmackDown have seen an increase in the amount of actual ring time shown per hour. Measured in minutes of wrestling per hour, that's a metric, I guess. In some instances, we've added 10 to 15 minutes of wrestling to each hour of programming. Based, up from what we usually saw.
Mako Satomura's on NXT.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes, thank you. That's the one I was trying to remember. No, they're unifying all the NXT. And UK
no,
belts,
I see this,
so,
but
yeah.
Oh, Mandy's fucked.
Ooh, she's had that belt for a while.
No, she's had it for over 300 days.
Yeah. Oh, so that'd be a while.
All hail the Toxic Chief. That's what I say.
Well, we talked about how the women of NXT are generally, so she really is the alpha there. I feel in quality. So.
She's the Toxic
but I
Chief.
gotta say, and I was saying this, I think before you came on, maybe before the show, NXT is getting my attention. I'm loving the British invasion that's happening tonight.
I've been telling you, Sorg, it's not bad. Like if you actually sit down and watch it, the lows are still kind of low.
I watched a good 45 minutes of the first hour, and I was not like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah,
that's the bar right now, right? But yeah, that's. Wait, hold on. According to this, back to this article, I think it's interesting. According to this, the August 22nd episode featured more than 27 minutes of wrestling per hour. Also, the increase also coincided with Raw ratings being up over the course of August.
Yep.
So, hey, maybe if you show us more wrestling, we want to tune in more.
And
no, it's not even more wrestling. It's more wrestling that makes sense.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you bring the quality of your in-ring work up. That brings the quality of your promos up because you want your in-ring work to coincide with the good quality of your promos. It stacks up. Then as a show, Raw brings up AEW, which brings up SmackDown, which brings up Rampage, which brings up the pay-per-views. So this is how you build a medium that has a loyal fan base.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
none of this is bad. All of this is good. The only thing that could be considered bad is that maybe you don't like having good wrestling. Maybe you really liked the crap wrestling. Like you liked it in that Schadenfreude way. In which case, I'm sorry, buddy.
Well, you know what also helps? Having promos that don't ramble and get to the point.
Yeah.
Like, because I even saw that a lot last night with Judgment Day. Because Judgment Day has been very kind of hit and miss with their promos. But last night, they hit their points. They got in. They got out. They made puns. And that's it. They got their point across. Like, same thing with, like, I think Bayley coming back to the product helps WWE as a whole. Just in general. Because she's so dialed in with her character.
Yes.
She is absolutely dialed in. She immediately, at least to me, became the best talker on Raw. As soon as she came back. And now that they're in like the women's tag team titles again, she can show up on SmackDown too and badmouth Michael Cole on commentary while she's sitting in the front row. And it's amazing.
To your point of crispness on mic work, just take the Gargano promo, take Theory's part in it. Then compare it to what he was doing pre-Vince leaving. Yep. Now compare. They got to it. They didn't beat you over the head with the way. They made a reference to it twice. And then point. I'm now the alpha dog. Johnny, you left. I'm king. Maybe you can carry my bag. Super kick end segment. Perfect.
Exactly.
Good.
And also the people who maybe promos aren't their strong suits aren't talking anymore. Like Bobby Lashley says his words in the ring, which is where he should be, because Lashley has improved a great deal.
Absolutely.
But without MVP, it's a little harder sell.
Yeah.
So you just have him be a badass and present him as such. Now Kevin Owens is getting more promo time, but even his longer promos are to the point. Like, even his longer promos, he hits because he's a goddamn professional and he knows what he's doing. Like, when he says he knows who he is now, I don't think that's the character speaking. I think that's Kevin Steen talking. Like, he knows who this character is right now, and he's going to tell us all about it.
Tina said his HBK's official title is VP of Talent Development Creative, which means that that sounds a lot like he has Dusty's old job.
Yeah, that sounds right. But is that for NXT or is that for like across the board?
Probably it's officially across the board, but I bet Sean spends most of his time in Orlando.
Yeah. Interesting.
We're in a good place right now, is what I'm trying.
Yeah, we are. I hope. Have we talked about the potential backstage issues at AEW yet?
We haven't, but I also I'm not sold on it being what it sounds like in the headlines. You know what I mean? Like, that one feels sketchy every time I read an article. We know, and we were, and I think it was just in your coming in, we were talking about the vibe in the back is more positive and all this kind of stuff. Like, it didn't read as sketchy as the articles about the AEW stuff. Like, CM Punk's mad about this, and that, and Hangman and all this stuff, and Tony Khan can't control his people. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I
believe aspects of it.
I'm sure stuff is happening, but it's
so here's my thing.
Wrestlers acting like children backstage, I don't know what that's like. But anyways.
But if there wasn't some truth to it, then I feel like Mox wouldn't have been your interim champion. It would have been MJF. Because if you have MJF win that interim title, and then you eventually have CM Punk come back,
I don't think
unify them. That's a built-in storyline. You don't have to do the work because you've already done the work.
I understand your hypothesis, but I don't think that's a symptom of the problem.
I think it kind of is.
I don't think that's a definite symptom of the problem. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a clear symptom of the problem. I think this is a whole thing.
I mean, MJF called Tony Khan on fucking Mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that is a symptom of the problem.
Yeah.
Except for we don't know how much of that is real and how much of that is
listen.
Yeah, of course.
Listen, if
absolutely.
something happens on a microphone in a wrestling ring, I don't believe it. Okay? As a rule, literally, people are injured in front of me, and I don't believe it until I see them limping backstage. Okay? Like,
even then,
even then, they're still, whatever. Like, I don't, if I see something in a promo on my camera, it better be part of a storyline. I'm putting it the fuck out unless you do something that is definitely going to get everybody in trouble, right? Like that, I don't like that stuff seeping through. Yes, it's going to seep through. Yes, there's going to be little barbs that are thrown in there every once in a while, right? But still, I don't believe as people watching on television or watching a show from the front row or me behind my camera half the time that we can judge what that is. Oh, they got some problems. Like, man, we thought, so and so and so and so were really going to kill each other in the late '90s in the Attitude Era, right? Because you hear some glimmer of something about backstage problems, which honestly, half of them are planted on purpose, right? Take a case in point. Was it the Bad Blood match between Mankind and Shawn Michaels, where there is a quote unquote blown spot where Shawn Michaels starts flipping out about in the middle of the match? That was all the work, but it was based on the dirt sheet rumors of Shawn Michaels and Mick having problems. Right? Mm-hmm. Like that is so you can't tell me until I see MJF bearing the shit out of Tony Khan on an interview and he's not contracted with AEW. I have no reason to believe there is an actual legitimate problem between the two of them that isn't something that is going to pay off down the line on AEW or intends to. Maybe it never happens because of some circumstance or another, but you cannot convince me that that's a real thing.
Okay, but I'm just saying it's. I'm saying there are a lot of seeds being planted, like with the online rumors and with the stuff that's happening on camera,
potentially on purpose.
And it's possible that they're all true, and it's possible they're all false. I haven't. The one thing about MJF is that I haven't seen MJF. Like, MJF has not been anything but MJF since the Indies. Okay? I've never seen him not be MJF. He's been that. Maybe Punk is a diva. Obviously, Punk's a diva. We all know Punk's a diva.
Listen, we all know Punk's an asshole. We love him. We'll cheer for him. I bought his T-shirt. Phil's an asshole. Okay? Yeah. We know this.
And so maybe he did do it without it, and that's why they pushed it up. Maybe that was the plan all the time, was he was going to go into a work shoot to push it up so they could get an extra storyline in.
Yeah.
All those things are possibilities. The truth of the matter is, and, Dave says it in the chat, there's a possibility Tony stretched himself too thin, Tony Khan, and he's running way too much, and he doesn't have the right support structure in place. That's possible. It could also be that this is controlled chaos because Tony wants that in the dirt sheets. That Khan wants everyone to think that this is unhinged and out of control because that's exactly how ECW made its mark. This is actually unhinged. When in reality, Paul Heyman had things about as well.
But see, the thing is,
money. So
there was at least from what sorry to cut you off, but like I don't remember there being dirt sheets with people being bit. Other than the payment issue, other than being actually paid by Paul Heyman, there were no like backstage rumors at the time where like Paul didn't have control of his show.
Yeah, all I've ever seen was Paul was bad with money, but I've never seen that Paul couldn't run the show.
Yeah.
Like I heard almost the exact opposite, where Paul was very meticulous about his show. He was a shit financier. But he was very meticulous about his show. And everything, even all the batshit stuff that happened, it was either Paul's idea or Paul had a worse idea, and this was the toned down version.
Yeah. And it's
Tina says that some performers might be able to take advantage of Tony being a fan. That's true.
It's Dixie.
In the same vein, those same performers can take advantage of the dirt sheets because the dirt sheets are looking for headlines.
Yep.
And we have seen that a bunch of times with different writers. Meltzer has had it done to him more times than I can count him. While he wants to say that it hasn't happened to him, it has. So that's popular. Okay.
Yeah, if you can convince somebody with the typewriter to put it in print, and if somebody sees it in print, it's fact, right? So like to the readers, to the world, to everything that goes by. Hey, remember when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall what was it? Was it when they did fake Diesel and Razor? And they, like, WCW came to him and says, "You're like, what's going on? Why are they announcing this?" And they're like, "Oh, we're not, you know." And and they completely got a raise in their contract, and then sat there with the executives, yeah, and watched fake Diesel and Razor come out and shrugged at them. So, you know,
shit.
What's up?
All of Legato's leaving NXT.
No.
Santos just pulled up in an SUV, and he said, "You didn't think I was going to leave without you, did you?"
Aww.
And my heart melts again.
I love it. We're gonna see Legato versus Hit Row on SmackDown, y'all.
Literally, Matt Carlin sent me the clip as you were telling me about it, and he says, "Watch this and try not to get hyped for main roster Zima."
Dude, we could see Legato versus the new Vicious Viking Raiders.
Oh, yes. And did you see Mrs. Rowe maybe a part of it?
Yeah.
At least she was in promo. I mean,
she was at the Rumble.
Okay, that's right.
She was in the Rumble,
right,
so I mean, like,
so man,
yeah,
if
she was in the Rumble. We had a Riot Squad reunion.
If she rolls in as Viking Mom, I am down for it. Or Viking.
Hey, give me. You know what? If they give her like, all right. I'm gonna look up what the word for mother in Viking is.
Yes. And please, anybody that's watched that's played way too much Assassin's Creed Valhalla, please fill us in. Fantastic.
Oh, call her Modair.
Modair? Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Eric, Ivar, and Modair.
Yes,
please. Yes.
Wait, is it seriously mother?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't want to. I'm sure we can find a cooler word. I mean, that's actually a pretty badass word, actually. So, but I don't know. I know she left because of the kid and everything. So I think it would be cool if she came back as badass mom, right? I mean, really, kind of Beth did, and who else is?
Yeah.
Becky. And so that could be fun. In my head canon, at least. So I am watching the non-audio version of this clip, and it's fantastic. It's like, let's go for a ride up the turnpike, guys. This is the vibe. This is the vibe back in the summer before senior year, when my buddy rolled up and says, "Let's go to Niagara Falls tonight."
Hey, Sorg, I know we haven't done this in a while, but
yeah.
I think Shima going to the main roster kind of calls for it. Are you ready?
Okay.
I apologize for people wearing headphones.
There you go. No, actually, Pat. God, I'm saying the name that's in front of me. Where am I at?
You don't know what's going on, Sorg.
Sorg got the vision of a Yinzer explosion on SmackDown and just lost his mind. Like, oh, look at all these friends of the show on SmackDown. This is phenomenal.
But anyways, sorry, I just had a message come through. I had to respond to. And then I accidentally sent another message by accident, and in some way I shouldn't have sent an accidental message too. Anyways, I'm multitasking here. NXT is happening. These are happening. Sheamus going to the main roster. Another friend of the show, the Pittsburgh Explosion, that's happening. Mike's saying the air horn with his mouth again. So much is going on, and so much is going on in professional wrestling, independent wrestling. Hell, right here in Pittsburgh, or Erie, or near Wheeling, West Virginia, or where the hell else am I going this month, next month? But so much is happening. You can check it all out at IndyWrestling.us, including the show that we just talked about last night with Revenge Pro. And there's a fly in here. But there's so much going on. We have 2PW's Friday Night Fights just posted, I think, a couple weeks ago. This weekend's Renegade Wrestling Alliance. You can catch up. We just started posting clips from in anticipation of this week's show, Resurrection. There's some clips and some matches going up this week on our social media of RWA's, so many letters, RWA's Aggression show, so you can catch up on everything that's going on there. But yeah, so a lot of fun stuff going on there. And I'm sorry, I'm getting some fun messages right now. A lot of going on there, a lot of stuff coming up on the networks, and you can keep up with the entire back catalogs that we have for VCW, 2PW, and then on VOD for Revenge Pro, and a lot of those things are included also on our YouTube page. A lot of free stuff, the Spotlight Slam show, where you can catch up with what's going on with those promotions and what shows are coming up and promos, and some promos you can't see anywhere else because of reasons, and so much more. Go check all of them out. They'll be there as long as I don't have to take them out because of YouTube copyrights. So guys, use some royalty free stuff in your promos, guys, please. But anyways, a lot of fun stuff happening, a lot of stuff going on there, and of course we're watching a bunch of stuff in and around that we're talking about on this show. And let's get into that right now. Actually, Tony, you had an experience. Well, I do want to talk about Renegade Wrestling Alliance coming up this weekend, but we did talk last night about Revenge Pro. It was your debut on the mic and commentary with Doc. You were teaming up with Marcus Mann, that's a regular up there, which is great because he knows the landscape up there, right? And everything going on in Erie, at least. And it was cool to see that team up. It was cool to see you guys, not around Pittsburgh, I guess. Like that's the first time I've seen you guys that far north as a team.
Yeah, it was special. For anyone that doesn't know Doc's the reason I do this. We did hockey together, and he was like, "You'd be really good at this." And almost 4 years later, 4 years in November, we drove 2.5 hours up to Erie to call a wrestling show, and Wardlow just randomly shows up.
On top
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, on top of Victor Benjamin, on top of Lady Frost, and all the other great talent that's up there.
I finally got to call a Colin Delaney match. I finally got to meet Teaching Cloudy, who I've been fans of since 2010. Separate teams now, but when they were up in Smoke in ROH, big fan.
Yes.
So, I mean, that was just Tony geeking out about 2010 independent wrestling and being like, holy crap.
I had no idea. I honestly had no idea that was Cloudy until you guys started talking about him on the commentary.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch the announcement. I didn't read through deep on the sheet. Actually, I think it was just tag names on our run sheet, which were blanked out anyways because it was a random button actually. So I wouldn't have known anyways. So. Because it was random button night. It was press your luck, apparently. They had a big red button. They had a whammy board graphic. It was crazy. So it was a lot of fun there, and there were a lot of great surprises, and we talked about those reactions and everything like that. So what was your vibe there? Because it was definitely something probably a little different than RWA, 2PW, and this other stuff you've been doing around.
I wouldn't say different. More like, this was probably the first time that I was like not 100% locked into what was going on in Erie. So I was, it felt like back when I did my first show 4 years ago, I was like, okay, what's going on here? But the cool thing is now I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then I look in the locker room, and there's Gannon and Duke main event. There's Victor Benjamin. There's Daniel Eads. There's Bill Collier, guys who I know. Marshall Gambino is helping out there. I got to meet Big League, John McChesney, CJ Sensation's back there, all these guys that I work with regularly. And so I told Sorg before the show started, I had this real like surreal moment the next day after we got back from Erie, where I was just like, I work in this business. Like, I got to call a match where Elijah Dean and Money Shot with Zach Nystrom wrestled Cheech and Cloudy in separate tag teams and the main event.
Not to mention Colin Delaney and Captain Nick Ando, they're fantastic, right? So
and then Colin Delaney, like, I love Colin Delaney. I think he's one of the best unsigned talents in the world right now. Definitely North America, probably the world, in my opinion. Got to call it Colin Delaney. I got to look at him and say thank you for the opportunity. And meet Colin Delaney and find out, he's as humble as everyone says he is. I got to see Lady Frost, who I've never been able to call a Lady Frost match. I got to see Victor Benjamin. Never got to call a Victor Benjamin match. Both met them. Both found out that they knew who I was, which is surreal. Like, and got to talk to them about stuff. I got to see, the tweet the Lady Frost put out there. That's 100% true. I was talking to Victor Benjamin about something, and Wardlow comes up and says, "Hey, can I buy a battle buddy off of you? This girl, I want to give this to this girl." Just two of the biggest stars in the United States just shooting about, "Hey, can I get a battle buddy so I can give it to this little girl?" Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is my day-to-day. What?
And now everybody's talking about that moment in the last couple of days.
Yeah, now it went viral. And again, not to, again, don't read the comments, because you read the comments on this amazing story and people are being like, shut up, all right? Like, you don't, until you're in the back of a locker room working on this stuff, you don't know how good a lot of, like 90% of the wrestlers I work with, 95, I would say, percent of the wrestlers I work with are some of the nicest human beings in the world. And yeah, we're goofy, and yeah, we're stupid, and yeah, we make really bad jokes about, our lives and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, putting out that stuff, my God, it was so much fun. Erie is such a fun place. That crowd, it was about the size of an RWA crowd, but spread out a little bit more in the ballroom, and they were just as loud as an RWA crowd.
It was I know because of stuff going on, like there wasn't as many people as usual in that room, but I'm sitting ringside. I'm on headsets with the back, and I'm like, hey, you couldn't tell me that the crowd is down for how loud it is out here. At least ringside, like I had no idea that there was any difference in numbers. And there was a big Erie like free concert happening down the street with Ja Rule, so that like it's going to affect what's going on.
Yeah, there was Ja Rule with Maya. There was, I think, an Erie Seawolves game. Like the Avalon is in the middle of the city.
Yeah, and this is all happening.
You need a reminder who Ja Rule is?
No. We went through that last night. I don't want to do that to your throat again.
I was just making sure.
That's a weird statement.
Sure. I had to prepare. I had Seltzer. I was. Just in case.
I mean, if you want to do it for Tony so he can hear it.
Oh, Tony,
I know who Ja Rule is.
Okay. Because Sorg was not aware.
Okay.
So
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to make sure because, like, Sorg was curious.
Mike, thank you for your service.
And then I filled him in. And I basically said, "What would I be without you?" And that's what we did last night. Yeah. I'm not gonna do it anymore.
That was about last night. Yes. Yes. So
we sung that original song. Let them.
No, that's Ja Rule.
I know. Let him sing it. You don't have to do it.
No, it's fine.
No.
It's absolutely fine. It's good.
Anyways, Rochelle is going to be at RWA this week. And by the way, Revenge Pro, press your luck. Main edit is done. We have do some editing with some of the graphics and things that needs to still go in it. That should be up. I'm looking to process that. It'll probably be up for you guys on VOD Wednesday night, if not Thursday at the latest. So you can guys go check it out. And of course, the clip with Wardlow is on the Indie Wrestling YouTube page, on the Revenge YouTube page, and like every social media, the TikTok. A lot of people have been watching it, things like that. So Rochelle is in the chat and says she's going to be at RWA this Saturday. Can't wait. Tony, again, said I'm missing it. RWA is one of my favorite places to go. I have a lot of one of my favorite places to go. Basically, everywhere I go for wrestling is one of my favorite places to go, to be quite honest. But always for different reasons than the other ones. RWA has a pretty big show coming up this weekend. I saw just announced, I believe today, and we just saw. Yes. We just mentioned Daniel Eads. He was in that big four-way with Lady Frost, McChesney, and Kevin Bennett to top off the show Saturday night in Erie. But Daniel Eads will finally get his rubber match with Brian Johnson, the former, I believe, Ring of Honor Pure Champion, if I'm correct. They're going to have a 2 out of 3 falls match this Saturday at RWA. That is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and each of them have a victory over each other. So this is a rubber match, as you said, but neither of them have won through a finisher. They have not hit their finisher on each other. It's been roll-ups, and these have been probably the closest matches where someone makes a slip, a mistake, and they're both such in-ring veterans that they capitalize with a roll-up. The 2 out of 3 falls match eliminates that to a degree, because you cannot take advantage of a slip up and win the match outright.
Yeah.
If they slip up, there's still another fall that you have to do. So that's where this comes into play. And I know Eads has been sort of rolling his brain for the last few months because we talked about it, and he really wanted to take on Johnson and clear this up. Well, now this clears it up in a big way. This is going to settle this debate of who's the better pure athlete in RWA. Brian Johnson, the Mecca, is phenomenal. But the Man of Tomorrow has been a staple at RWA and has been, 3-time RWA heavyweight champion. This is for those of you who like, I was talking about 2010 ROH. For those of you who like pure era ROH, this is a match you're not going to want to miss. This is going to be hard-hitting wrestling. Because it's not a bad word anymore, and we've never had problems saying bad words at RWA. It's wrestling.
Oh, that's definitely not at RWA.
No.
Something they probably shouldn't say. Anyways. No, that's fantastic. So, that's going to be a big one. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, check it out. Of course, it will be part of the Indie Wrestling Network and Ringside members over on YouTube and VODs and all that after the fact next week. So a lot of great stuff going on there. A lot of other matches. We have a big tag match with, I know, implications for the world title with some friends of the show involved, right?
Yeah, huge tag match involving J-Rock and Ryan Edmonds, who have, Ryan Edmonds, the RWA heavyweight champion. J-Rock's calling himself the true RWA champion, and they've sort of developed this thing where they unite. Rev has been chasing both of them for a while and brought in Chris Taylor to even up the odds. Chris Taylor, of course, a staple of RWA as a member of the Circle and singles. And Rev and Chris versus J-Rock and Ryan Edmonds. Now, if Chris Taylor or Rev get the pin, they get a anytime you want contract for the heavyweight championship. This is a huge opportunity. Rev had that chance pre-COVID, lost it to Ryan Edmonds when we got back. And since then, Rev has not had a chance to get what Doc would call a fair shot at the RWA heavyweight championship. I would say that it's been fair enough for Rev, but these are the hoops that Rev has had to jump through. Arguably, if he's able to get this, then there's no argument. He's the number one contender. He's been training with Chris for a while. Now, the interesting thing is, what if Chris gets the pinfall? Well, then we have a Chris Taylor versus Ryan Edmonds circle versus circle chance. So it's not guaranteed that if they win, Rev is the number one contender. And it's not guaranteed that they're going to win at all, because J-Rock and Ryan Edmonds are two of the best damn wrestlers in the Pittsburgh area. Well,
as you see, we see a video here. There's a little bit of training going on, apparently. I guess there's a little bit of a training montage that was put out a little bit ago by the Rev with Chris Taylor here. And if I could skip it ahead a little bit, I think it got a little. I think something happened that you're familiar with here. Let's see. Let's skip ahead. This scene looks a little familiar.
No, I've seen that.
Yeah, you've seen that. This is looks like there are a few sheets to the wind. Don't know how to wear shirts anymore. This is apparently their teamwork preparation, and they're chopping each other in the middle of the street.
That memory was blocked.
Yes, you were passed along. You were passed along.
The Wicked Googly. Shout out to that bar.
Yes.
Because that was the bar that decided to add a $127 surcharge because of Chris Taylor.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks.
No.
Guys.
Oh no.
And then we went to Spain. So.
Spain.
Yeah, the Wicked Googly is how Chris Taylor pre-games.
Okay.
And when he dragged me off to, I don't know how I ended up in Morocco, and I don't know where the camels came from either. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Whoa. Okay. Okay.
Can we talk about something else? I'm just like
I guess so. RWA, a lot happening this weekend. And we won't pain you anymore with that. So
that bar really named off of a Jerry Seinfeld MasterCard skit.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm just making sure. Like I know Wicked and Googly are also, other words, but the only reference I have for that is a Jerry Seinfeld MasterCard.
Tina just asked, do I have insurance and bail money for myself just in case I go missing again? The answer is not enough. I don't have enough insurance. I don't have enough bail money. I
mean this as pretty much an endorsement. If you're worried about insurance and jail time, don't go to an RWA show.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's my you can put that as a that's my review. That's my Google review. That's my that's a positive review. Okay, 5 stars. So
is that just because you're worried about what it will be what would happen to you if it was a negative review?
Well, I mean, consider who's on this roster, guys. Like, this is a roster with everybody we just mentioned, plus, like, Shirley Doe, Troy Lords, the Gambinos, plural, Hentai,
HL Supreme.
He was always, just like Shima's always going to be Shima, even though he's on his, like, 5th name, Walking Wild, which we didn't say, I realized tonight for the newbies. Yeah, it's.
But speaking of HL Supreme and the Sons of Liberty, they have a huge tag match against, wait for it, the Rock and Roll Express, the actual Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson for the RWA Tag Team Champions.
Absolutely.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Last month, Gory and Justin Idol had to relinquish the titles because Idol is having concussion issues. If you watch Top Rope Tabletop, you know that he's a little bit loopy. So that's, obvious. And HL Supreme, I almost did it. Almost did it, but I caught myself. Told Derek, basically, we were the last ones to hold it before them. It's our title. Give it to us. And Derek said, okay, I'll give it to you if you can beat these guys. Well, these guys are one of the greatest tag teams of all time, the Rock and Roll Express. These guys arguably invented the modern concept of tag teams and tag team matches. These guys are Hall of Famers. HL Supreme and Dennis Gregory are probably one of the best tag teams in the area.
Veterans.
Ricky Morgan and Robert Gibson are one of the greatest tag teams of all time. This is going to be interesting. Now, if the Sons of Liberty can beat Rock and Roll Express, that cements them as one of the greatest tag teams of all time, firmly in my mind. And their title's on the line. We could be able to say at the end of Saturday night that the RWA Tag Team Champions are Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, the Rock and Roll Express. That's crazy.
That's going to be something. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing that for me in editing, but you should go buy a ticket if you're in the area or check it out after the fact. Some really good stuff happened there at RWA. And Tony will be on the mic for that. And, of course, all the upcoming 2PW's show at the end of September as well, which I think there's another RWA show even before that. So look out for all of that. So, and if Tony was here, he would be able to partake. Our friends at Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza, New York City style. Yins are made. Beachview, Carnegie, East End, and the North Hills. Thank you to our friends for supporting the show. And we will be back. I want to talk about television. After this break, we're going to have some fun with it. And we'll be right back after this.
shout out to Grind TV Network on Roku.
Grind City. And you know this, man.
You know what I'm saying? It's like right place, right time, out of nowhere.
So what you saying?
Former tag team partner coming to save.
Tony Johnson, we saw him battle Edric earlier, but this is a 2-on-1 mugging.
We are back, Wrestling Mayhem show. We have with us Tony Kincaid, the voice of Renegade Wrestling Alliance, and like 3 other companies. And of course, Mad Mike with us as well. We were just talking about the end of NXT was happening, and they're signing. Obviously, they're doing unification matches for the UK belts, which I will miss the UK Championship belts because I thought they were amazing looking belts. And
they'll be back. They'll be
back
They'll be
along
back.
with the European title.
There you go.
The European title will be coming back.
And honestly, this is a good way because NXT UK, the talent that's been in NXT UK has been underutilized internationally. We have some of the best wrestlers over in UK. Bring them over to the main roster. Bring them over to NXT US. Reboot NXT into NXT Europe, which is the rumor that's going around. I don't know if it's official yet.
I thought it was confirmed.
It might be confirmed.
No, it's confirmed. NXT Europe will be starting next year.
And then you now have a feeder program in Europe. You have a feeder program in the US that can take from your ICWs, and you can also take from American Independents to go to NXT. This is a good thing. This adds a middle layer internationally.
And plus, it's all of Europe, not just localized around UK.
Right, so you don't have this situation where Gunther, formerly known as Walter, who is this big Austrian beat 'em up, is being called the UK champion. This man's the champion of frickin' Europe, Asia, and even though he didn't step into America until recently, he's the champion of everything, and we respect him. So he will chop your chest off.
The most appropriate intercontinental champion, right?
Now, here's what I'm wondering though, because they're also unifying the NXT title and the NXT UK title.
Right.
I wonder if we get whoever the WWE Universal Champion is against the unified NXT champion at Survivor Series.
I kind of doubt it, honestly.
Why
would you do that?
You wouldn't want to see Roman Reigns versus Braun Breaker, because I'd like to see that.
I don't think it's a Survivor Series thing. I don't think they're mixing that
well,
much.
we won't be doing champion versus champion anymore unless someone's fighting themselves.
Yes,
because we haven't split the belts up.
No, we haven't. So I don't know.
I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Are we even doing that this year? I don't know. We know there's a draft coming, right?
I haven't heard anything about a draft.
I heard something about a draft, but I heard it's still up in the air. I read something rather.
I just saw a headline about this is what USA execs are saying about a draft or something like that.
Well, no, they want a title. I don't think they care about a draft. I don't think they care about the particular players.
They want what? They want a title?
They want a championship on Raw.
A USA championship?
No, like.
Oh, they want a main championship, you mean?
Yes, Roman is a SmackDown guy, so he's primarily on SmackDown.
And they'll get one. This is what frustrates me about execs. Calm down. We're getting there, all right?
and spoiler alert, the ratings are going up without it.
Yes.
Yeah, so like you guys, you want a champion. I understand that. Really appreciate. You'll get one in soonish.
In due time.
Yeah, but your ratings have been up in the last month, and you've been relying on mic work and Kevin Owens beating the crap out of everyone like it's NXT in 2014-15. So calm down, all right? Let them do their work.
So the article, and again, I'm usually, like it's coming from Wrestling Inc. I take a little bit more stock in it, at least what they're hearing. So it's not. So what was USA Network talking to talent? That doesn't That doesn't make sense.
I'm almost guaranteeing
that does
USA
not
Network
make
is
sense.
not
Talents
talking
were
about
initially told the draft was slated to take place the week after the upcoming event. Yada yada yada. September 9th edition. Raw Talents not booked for September 9th. It was
no, it wouldn't be
it.
September 9th.
It was
We would have
supposedly listed on an internal calendar for September. Whatever. I don't care if there is one. I don't care a designation of you're on Raw, you're on SmackDown. I'm worried about wrestlers wrestling and interacting where it makes sense.
And here's the thing: if we're bringing up, let's see, you know, Triple H is in charge because we're using "here's the thing" a lot. So here's the thing: if we're bringing in people like Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis, Legado del Fantasma, Hit Row, you don't need a fucking draft.
No.
If you just put new talent on your shows, that's how you get fresh matchups.
Yes.
Sure, you can switch a couple people if you want, but you don't have to.
Not to mention that bringing those guys in adds instant credibility to your quote-unquote mid-card titles. I mean, you now have the U.S. and the Intercontinental being defended in matches that matter, which we actually have the Intercontinental title being defended on a pay-per-view in a week or so.
Oh, yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
Sheamus and Gunther, man. That's gonna be so. That's gonna burn.
Dude,
that's gonna burn the building down.
Yeah,
I cannot wait.
When that went down, and I'm like, am I excited about a Sheamus match? Like, I like Sheamus, but I haven't.
And here's the thing, like, Jesus, I did again. Sheamus, like, I could see a future where Sheamus wins this because it's him completing his Grand Slam championship. Because Sheamus has done everything except the IC title. He even has the cherry on, like, winning Money in the Bank, winning the Rumble, and being King of the Ring. Like, he's probably the most decorated person in there that's never been IC champ.
It's possible. I could see a world like that too, but I know we're guaranteed a world where Gunther and Sheamus have a hoss fight. 8 to 12 minutes, maybe longer, but 8 to 12 minutes of just big guys beating the crap out of each other. I'm here for it.
Love it. Oh, it's so good right now. It's so good right now. Hey, you know what else is good? I have one episode left, but I'm almost done with season 2 of Young Rock. I didn't even know season 2 was out, and then it was like popped up on my radar on like Hulu, right? Have you guys been watching this show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've seen the Young Rock.
It's a fun retelling. You know, obviously for a lot of things played with comedy. Even there's some stuff recent because they're getting into his debut in WWE soon.
That was weird.
Was it?
that was weird. That was like watching Wish.com's version of Survivor Series 96.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
It was very odd.
I did appreciate, and spoiler alert, I suppose if you haven't watched it, I did appreciate Colt Cabana playing Brooklyn Brawler, though.
I never knew that made sense until it happened.
I know, right?
Like, no, that's right.
Yeah.
Wait, that's Colt Cabana?
That was Colt Cabana.
Really?
There's no way that wasn't Colt Cabana.
I'm
pretty
pretty
that
sure.
way.
I don't think that was Colt Cabana, but okay.
I'm looking at the credits right now. It was Colt Cabana.
Wow.
And I don't know that other wrestlers have played other wrestlers.
Okay. No, I'm confusing. I'm conflating Brooklyn Brawler with Harvey Whippleman.
Okay.
That's what I was confusing because I'm like, I don't recall that at all. But no, that tracks more. Okay.
Yes. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I just finished watching the episode where Macho Man is at an opening for the Sears and then starts working for a bit, and just has undying love for Sears. The Mama Rock and Elizabeth drinking episode. It's a lot of fun. It's fun retellings of things, and it's like I can't imagine that this promotion in Hawaii literally had all of the people we know from WWE and nobody else, because that's how it's represented. You got Jake, you have the birth of Damien. You have Macho Man, Andre, Iron Sheik, Pat Patterson, and Mean Gene Okerlund are on commentary. I'd love to actually look up that promotion. I did actually, when we got to the Jerry Lawler stuff when he was in developmental, they brought up a promo, and I got to Google it was USWA, and I found the Flex Cavana promos. I didn't watch it because I was watching the show at the time, but it's like, oh my God, this does exactly look like this. Goes as a weird room with a pink throw light on the background. It was like it was studio wrestling kind of set up, and I was like, no, because I know they're taking liberties, a little bit for show and everything like that. But I'm just like, no way that they did this, this way. And they're like, no, this is exactly what they did. Holy crap. So it's been a lot of fun with that, and of course they jump back and forth a lot with Young Rock and Rocky's deal with Tony Atlas, and it's just very strange. Tony, you talked about like kind of being there for around the wrestlers this Sunday night, seeing Tony Atlas talk to Child Rock about a woman's feet.
I thought that was
as a person who has interacted directly with Tony Atlas. Is a very surreal thing, a very surreal thing, and to see that thing that we all knew about as diehard wrestling fans and heard the stories,
watchers of Legends House,
so yeah, I guess it was out there, but to see, I mean, there's Legend House on WWE Network, but this was on NBC represented, right? Like it just like everybody knows now. There's a little.
It's a little bit inside baseball that you're just like, I didn't know we were doing like Wrestling Secrets Exposed too. Like,
it was so much, right?
Holy God!
Like the parts where he's like, when he gets the call up and he's having a match with Lawler and he's thanking all the ring crew as he's getting put in holes in front of him and selling and just saying, winking at them and say, hey, thanks for working with me and all this stuff. Like that was a lot of fun, right? And just that and the way they do kind of talk about how the business works and selling and everything like they're using really deep words and very unapologetically. Sometimes they do that extra explanation for the people that aren't into wrestling to that
like
degree.
When they have a baby Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Oh my God. When they have baby Roman Reigns that said acknowledge me, as if he did that back then.
Of course he did.
I can't believe that he did that back then. No.
I will say this: the casting has been on point. They are
pretty much yes.
Like, my God, it's been really good. There's been some weird ones.
I have one issue.
Okay.
The dude, and I've said this before, the dude playing Macho Man looks the part.
Mm-hmm.
The voice, though.
Mm-hmm.
No,
of course you take offense to this.
I do.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No, because the guy they got to play Andre doesn't look like Andre at all, but gives off the presence of Andre.
Yes. Oh, he does. He does
gives off the
sure.
presence, and he does a really good job with it.
Yes.
Everything you've ever heard about Andre embodied in that man. He does a phenomenal job with it. But Macho Man is so specific. He has such a specific voice that we've all heard throughout our entire lives, and he just...
They couldn't all be home runs. You can't get like.
Yeah, I know. No, I know.
What are they gonna do? Cash Jay Lethal? Like, he's the only one who can probably do like that part of Macho Man.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree. No, I mean the guy's from Poughkeepsie. I wish he would just look me up. I'd give him some voice lessons.
Okay, so put that out there. So his name.
I have.
I haven't.
He has not responded.
Oh, you tagged him directly? Well, we'll have this video. Do you have any creative advice that we could maybe, we've had really good fortune with our clips being seen by the people that we want to talk to in the recent weeks. Hello, Effie. Hello, Lady Frost and Victor Benjamin.
By the way, trademarked Lady Frost.
What's that?
Trademarked Lady Frost.
What do you mean trademarked?
She owns her own name now.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Somebody's been talking to...
She just announced that today.
Good. Well, somebody's been talking to... Well, she does know David Lawless, so I'm sure she got the hookup, And it's a process. I'm sure she's been at it for a bit. I'm sure it came up when she was doing contracts and stuff, too. But anyways, what is... The actor's name is... Damn it, I just had it in front of me. Kevin... Mm-hmm. If you wanted to talk to Kevin McKaylee directly, what do you have for him in his? If they're going into season 3, and we're going to still have Macho Man involved in these stories, what is your advice to this professional actor to play the Macho Man Randy Savage?
Okay, first of all, I want to say he's doing a phenomenal job playing the part.
Absolutely. He's
playing the part.
He
absolutely fine. I could not give tips on how to.
And he is. And I want to point out, he is playing early proto Macho Man, not full on WWE Macho Man. So you know,
Sorg, have you seen early Macho Man promos?
I know he just talks like that.
His voice did not change.
Okay, I was trying to help out.
I saw an early Macho Man promo where he's talking about his baseball career.
Uh-huh.
You know what? He still sounds a little like this, yeah. Maybe he doesn't do all the mannerisms and everything, but he's got that little gravel in his throat, like he's been gargling Marlboros. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you just have to kind of you got to go a little gravelier.
Okay. Okay. Well, prepare the lozenge, right? Do you think maybe he was practicing, had it on point, but is not sustainable for repeated takes on a sitcom?
I think that's fair. But
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case,
I mean, if the
then,
poor guy,
I get it.
I'm looking at his background. There's this article here on Looper talking about he was in a web series. He was on a movie called Badlands. He was something called Zeroville. Things like that. Where he's basically playing a hipster or a cowboy apparently. So I don't know. Maybe he has some work on. Maybe he has a stage show he's working on that he really needs to not mess up the voice. And he's like, I would love to. I got the look. I got the persona. I got the movement.
If that's the case,
but the voice I cannot deliver.
Protect the gimmick.
Yes.
I get it. But...
also, Vince does not resemble Vince whatsoever in that show.
Well, like I said, they're all kind of funhouse mirror.
You know who was dead on though? When Colt was great as Brooklyn Brawler. Pat Patterson is also great, but
Colt also knows who Brooklyn Brawler is.
Absolutely,
so he knew exactly how to make that on point.
Haku.
Yes,
Haku was a dead ringer.
Okay. He was only in briefly, and again, haven't seen the final episode. Michael Hayes.
Yes,
was dead on. I'm like, to the point where you're like, wait, did they get Michael Hayes? Oh shit, this guy's good. And like everybody's just like in that weird, like uncanny valley of no, kind of thing. And not in a way like when you see a movie about somebody's life and they show the pictures of the person and they just look like a normal person, but they were just played by Tom Cruise, and you're like, well, this kind of disconnects, doesn't it? Right? Like that's kind of like this, except. Like, I don't think anybody's more attractive than their original. It's like it works backwards in this case. And that's not a dig. That's just like a casting kind of like alignment of visuals.
Stone Cold is played by Luke Hawx.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Luke Hawx, who he teams with his son in NWA. Last I saw, it's been a while, and he was also working, and I think is on Heels on Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he plays a character on there too, doesn't he? If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, no, that's good. I was wondering because I would love to. I need to see a list because nobody's directly identifiable to me. But I did wonder after seeing Colt, and I had been wondering how many of these guys are actually wrestlers, right? So I feel like all the Samoan family that's represented on the show are other than the top billed probably actors and actresses. Are probably Samoan family. They're probably literally just they pulled them in as family to play the roles.
Accurate,
I mean, that feels like that. Like we need some Samoans. Well, here's we got them all over here. Let's the family is large in the business. So did we confirm Toa is a part of the show in some fashion?
He's the Rock. He's Oh, I don't know if he's on the show.
Yeah, because we know
he still works as the Rock stunt double.
Okay. So, and for anybody new, somebody we interviewed back in the baby days of this podcast when he was on American Gladiators as Toa, and found out that he was the Rock's cousin and stunt double for his first batch of movies. I think he had 3 movies at the time. So, but anyways, oh jeez. Well, with that.
The guy they got to play. I'm looking at the roster right They don't have everyone listed
Mm-hmm.
for the other wrestlers, so that's
Luke Hawx was also on Wrestling Society X to throw that loop around.
Well, of
says
course.
Tina.
Altar Boy Luke, he was called.
Okay, and then Tina thinks that the Maivia promotion was an NWA territory. That makes sense. That really makes a lot of sense, actually. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, let me know what you learned from wrestling this week.
I've learned way too much.
Yeah, you had an education.
I had a semester abroad in Erie. I learned that I'm pretty lucky to be doing this because I got to experience one of those things that goes viral that is talked about on dirt sheets right there next to me. And I got to see it, and I got to see how the dirt sheets kind of bend things a little bit to be sensational, but the truth of the matter is Wardlow, Lady Frost, Victor Benjamin, all those guys and gals, and Revenge is one hell of a show. And if you're in Erie or you live in the Buffalo area, go down.
Well, it is nice because it is a nice intersection, right? It's 2 hours from Pittsburgh. It's I think we drove an hour and a half from this side of Cleveland because we were we talked about last night being on AIW the night before, just hanging out. And I'd say, what is it, like an hour and a half to 2 hours from Buffalo? So it really is a nice intersection, and the talent is a nice intersection because they're a lot of times from all those areas. I know we had several talents from Colin, including Colin and a bunch of other guys from Rochester, New York as well. So it's a pretty cool mix that they have going on there. So I really appreciate that because it is like a wrestling Midwest wrestling melting pot, right? A little bit up there. So and it's really cool. And it's from everything I've seen, it's the biggest show in town. They'd always been doing. It was really cool to have something. It is funny because Revenge started, and it was the only thing happening in downtown Erie, and that was part of the mission, was to have something. It was mentioned again in something I saw about they have the Wednesday night Thanksgiving Eve show, right? I don't know if you heard this, and apparently it used to be tradition in Erie in that same room that they would have Thanksgiving Eve boxing matches. So they are now, they now do that for Thanksgiving Eve, right? So to see that happening. But then now we're at this point where they had competition in downtown Erie, which usually has nothing. So Erie, say thank you, Revenge Pro. Mike, how about you? What'd you learn?
So I read former WWE writer Brian Gewertz's book over the past week.
Oh, yes. A former writer for WWE, I think was like the one that The Rock would always request for his promos. And everything, right?
he works with The Rock now. He writes Young Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned way too much about the mind of Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
Way too much. I also learned, I relearned, and with this being confirmed by me to WWE writers, WWE and Saturday Night Live have so much in common. It's ridiculous.
I believe it. You have to write for a weekly television that goes out live. Oh
Mhm.
yeah. Oh yeah. But now imagine that stage moves from city to city.
Yeah, and imagine that you don't get a summer break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Because he would talk about how, when The Rock would go to SNL, The Rock would occasionally request him to help work on, bits for The Rock, and it's just even going into the writers' room in SNL, he felt like he was a kid sitting in the writers' room at WWE all over again. It was very weird. It was honestly a good read. I'd recommend it to anyone who's just curious about that aspect of the business. But I also learned that the wrestlers were real assholes in the late 90s, because they made a writer take a bump in the ring, and not just like a back bump, like a power bomb.
Oh. Okay.
And it's he goes on to say that kind of thing would never happen now. But like, you really get the Wild West kind of mentality from what it was like in the late 90s. And it's bizarre.
I do see that this is on Audible.
Yes, that's how I read it.
Okay, so the Audible is worthwhile. So
yes,
is it him?
Yeah, it's not him reading it.
Oh, I see.
So
yes.
there's a couple pronunciation things, but yeah, it's overall very good.
Oh, looks like I'm signing back up for Audible, guys. So no, that's one I want to listen to, and maybe that's how I'll catch up with my reading a little bit.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I'm reading Game of Thrones right now.
Oh boy, God. I can't do fiction. I just can't do audio fiction.
Oh well, if you do sign up for Audible again, Sorg,
Mhm.
and after you listen to the Brian Ward's book, get the History of Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
That was really good, and the History of the Daily Show. Honestly.
Ooh, that could be fun.
Yeah.
It could be
Both are very good, and the History of the Daily Show even has some stuff from Mick Foley in it.
Confirming, Tina says, wasn't Brian the former head of SmackDown Creative at some point?
Raw.
Raw, okay.
Raw Creative.
Yes.
The subtitle for the book is the at one time seventh most powerful man in WWE.
Podner was telling me it's actually between the shows, part of this experience. He was at KSWA in Verona this weekend. He says he learned that Rev is very, very good and had the KSW crowd in his hands. Also, I have photo room issue per Sork. Yeah, he's photo rooming stuff and creating some images. And I think he has a problem. And I know this because it's in the corner of every photo room. It's an app on iOS that he talked to us about a couple weeks ago on AwesomeCast, and he's been making a lot of stuff. So we decided to have an intervention. He also learned Wendy Chu, when they let her go, is awesome, and Legos are the most dangerous weapon. Yes.
Yes, and speaking of Legos.
Yes.
Or building blocks.
Building blocks.
In a couple weeks, we will be having the building blocks deathmatch at 2PW, so I'm sure if you go to 2PW, you will be able to get details on that because it's involving the sexy talented dudes.
Yep.
Rev, the Apex, is also involved in that, I believe, and Brotherly Love.
Yes.
Ricky Dawkins and Cliff Tuppo, who have really impressed me. Rev, not so much. Sorry, Dave. Rev win the RWA Championship sometime this year. Well, first you gotta win the match on Saturday, but then I might actually respect you.
I want to give a shout out Brotherly Love because they were around and helping on Saturday night, and they were I don't know, it was good to work with them.
Let me drop character for a second. Ricky
what
and
kayfabe on this show? What the fuck are you talking about?
Ricky and Cliff are two of the most humble guys that honestly, like I besmirch them as part of the Kincaid era in 2PW, but when I say they've had one of the best years I've seen doing this, they have had one of the best years I've seen. They're personable, and one of the coolest things, again, dropping character, I've seen them go over things all the time in situations. They still are not afraid, despite the fact that they've had very early success, they're still not afraid to ask the vets for advice and to listen. And they were setting up. They've had one of the biggest years in this area, and they helped set up Revenge.
If you don't know, oh, sorry, go ahead, Fridge.
Because.
And if you don't know them, there's a tag team that's mostly in this area. I think they wrestle. And they are, quote unquote, from Philly, which, of course, in Pittsburgh. I think we know how
they're over.
And they're over as Philly guys, right? Yeah,
they're over as Philly guys.
They come around with a can of Cheese Whiz, and Whiz guys, they're putting Cheese Whiz in fans' mouths, like on their entrance and everything, and sometimes they'll use it in a match or something like that. You're just like, when you first see them, you're just like, oh, these guys are coming out and whatever. They're not even hardly wearing wrestling gear. This is a BS kind of thing. But they're working their ass off and they're doing good. They're getting reactions. We see them at 2PW a bit. I think they've been around a few other promotions in the area too. So shout out to them. Keep an eye on them. I think they're going to be doing some pretty cool things in the next couple of years. I'm hoping so. That's good. The more more tag team wrestling, right? This is like the women's wrestling problem, right?
Book more tag
matches,
galleries.
but also the same thing happens in an area with tag teams that happens like with the women that we've complained about is you see the same teams over and over. And I'm always happy when I see one that looks like a good, functional, not thrown together, actually getting booked as tag team somewhere, kind of team like that. That's really cool to see, which means there is more people, there are more people in the area for like guys like the main event. Like, listen, I love them. Everybody's amazing. But how many times do I need to see a main event versus money shot match across 3 states? But that's that kind of thing. And of course, everything was incredible with that 4-way that we talked about earlier at Revenge.
Oh my God. Yeah. If you watch one thing from the Revenge show, you're an idiot because there were all the matches were great, but that tag team scramble was phenomenal. I also want to shout out Dior Castro, who's the 3rd member of Brotherly Love, because I didn't mention him but he is also a very young, very phenomenal in-ring talent. Cliff, and Ricky and Dior, I popped you guys. I gave you guys the rub. Don't ever ask me. Please don't ever whiz me again because Cheese Whiz is awful. I hate it so much.
I learned every wrestling show that serves beer should serve Broken Skull Ranch beer. It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense.
Maybe not AEW.
Well, okay, maybe not AEW. I mean, Indie show. Come on.
No, listen. Steve Austin on his podcast has talked about AEW more than AEW talks about AEW. So at some point, give him the plug and sell his beer.
There you go. I appreciated that they were serving that at the Odeon for AIW on Friday night, and that's why you have a very interesting TikTok with me with the police from Friday night. Follow Sorgatron on TikTok. And let me make sure there's
Wait, if you drink Steve Austin's beer, do you automatically get arrested?
I mean, I was very close to police that were doing some police things. Is all and everything. So that's all I'm going to say. No incidents to report that time. I've only ran from the police once in my life. But anyways, that's a story for another day. Tony Kincaid, thank you so much for joining us this week. Talking up RWA, you'll be at Renegade Wrestling Alliance, RWALive.com for more information on that show. And, of course, we'll be sharing a lot of that. Watch the Spotlight show. Watch the Spotlight Slam show. We'll keep you updated on all the shows that we're involved in over there.
Yeah, please come out if you're in the West Newton area. Check it out. It's going to be a good night of wrestling. Also, check out in September. We'll have more information on the RWA show for in September after this one. 2PW From the Side. September 24th.
Oh damn! Did they barely post that poster?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it public yet? I was hoping it was a joke, but
no. That poster needs to be real, and I'm excited for it. Yeah, September 24th.
Don't Google the title of the show by itself.
Yeah, did you just see?
We're just gonna leave it there, which means all of you are gonna Google it right now to see what we're talking about. That comes up if your safe search isn't on.
Do it in incognito mode.
Yeah, I probably want to do that. So
trust me.
We'll just let other people. I know they're just do what you want with that information. But Mad Mike 483 on the tweets.
Yeah, I tweet about things and stuff, and Johnny Gargano.
Johnny Bananas.
Also, hopefully by this time next week we'll have it'll be boss time again.
Yes. I am going to be in Lakeland, Florida this weekend. For a closed shoot, I suppose we can say, with our friends. I'll be hanging out with I think I'll be hanging out with some friends from Lockheed Martin down there, actually. They have weird friends, I know. So we'll be hanging out down there. The wife will be with me. We will be looking for some wrestling shows. I got a couple. I'm hoping they'll find something not an hour away for Friday and Saturday night, so if anybody's got any lowdown for that. I know I am a week late for NXT was apparently in that town last weekend, and the AEW Dark tapings were happening at Universal Studios. And as I learned, maybe I'll go see a rocket take off because NASA is going to be doing their Artemis mission to the moon! Like I think Monday morning or something. So Missy's never seen a NASA launch. I've seen 2 SpaceX launches. So That's, of course, right? I mean, I kind of have to now, right, guys? It's going to be a 2-hour drive, but but whatever. So then I'll be doing that like 3 a.m. Monday morning. But I'm missing Raw. I'll go watch a rocket launch. It seems just so appropriate. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. Thank you, everybody on all the platforms that watched here tonight, popping in. I know we're working on that Twitter Spaces. We'll get that sorted out here. I might test something here after the show. But thank you so much. No, that's the wrong podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Mayhem out.
Just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait. Wait for the perfect time, then attack. Don't give up what you want, take it back. Wait for the perfect time, then attack.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.